Welcome to the Give for Grouse podcast, dedicated to giving the ruffed grouse a voice by promoting sound wildlife management, advocating for forest health, and championing all things conservation. Now let's get to the show with Cody Altizer and Eric Long.
Welcome back to the Give for Grouse podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Cody Altizer. To my right, even though he is often wrong, is Eric Long. Oh my goodness.
You're a poet, didn't realize it.
How's your world?
How's my world? Let's first off, it's your attitude that no one likes, Cody. Yeah. My world is super. Or, let's bring this word back, swell.
Swell.
Let's bring that word back. It's awful swell.
Man,
Yes.
that's like,
Let's leave it to Beaver.
I was about to say 60s,
Gosh,
70s
Wally.
maybe. It's a long time ago.
No, man, things are great. Things are great, man. We're getting a lot of stuff done, a lot of stuff accomplished. We got this new venture, and I know you're excited. I'm excited as well.
Very excited. It is a wonderful time of year. It's
yeah.
deer season, grouse season.
Right?
Colors are peaking. It's a beautiful fall day.
Oh, yeah.
Cloudy, windy, overcast. Colors are peaking.
Yeah.
We hunted this morning unsuccessfully, which is par for the course.
See, you got to work smarter, not harder, because I stuck Cody up in a tree, and I went into a box blind, turned a buddy heater on, had the thing humming hot. It was still cold.
It's still
It was still cold.
I love sitting in a tree, I tell you.
Oh, I know.
It is the best feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what else is the best feeling, and is also very exciting, is our first project that we're going to share
Man, jumping
as
right
part of the
into
Give for Grouse initiative is a Billboard campaign that, in short, we are going to be putting up a billboard in Covington, Virginia, which is where I'm from,
Bath County.
Allegheny Highlands, advocating for logging, the logging industry, forest health, forest management, forest product industry, all while using the ruffed grouse as a poster child for this whole messaging campaign movement.
You know, I'm going to allow you to tell the story, but I do want to chime in on one thing before you get rolling, because this billboard has been in the works for for a while. But when we were the Deer Hunter Project and stuff like that and had a podcast, we always talked about there's some certain non-consumptive communities out there that had a billboard saying what they believed in.
Yeah.
And we always said, where is our billboard? I mean, we're the biggest conservation story, best conservation story. Our accomplishments go on and on and on. But we never share it.
Yeah.
And we always said, where's our billboard? And finally, one day, Cody said, hey. And I'll pass on to you, because I want to give Cody all the props on this. I mean, he has been working his tail off, and I just kind of stepped aside, let him not be a stick in the spoke, and because I'm really good at that. So, yeah, man, educate people what's going on.
It's a really cool story. I can't remember when it started, because it's, this idea has been one that you and I have had for a couple of years, because you were up here somewhere in Ohio getting gas one day at the gas station.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a billboard that you had seen, right beside the gas station, by the World Wildlife Federation, WWF, which before you guys start, not Stone Cold Steve Austin. The World Wildlife Federation, if you do your own research before you start, bad-mouthing them, they do, from what research I have done, they have done some positive things for the hunting community, especially internationally. So prefacing the story with that, they're not all bad. But the billboard that you had seen was a picture, I think, of a beautiful picture of a big, beautiful tree.
Yeah, it's a state park type theme, if you will.
And the text said, love it or lose it. And again, it's part of a bigger campaign that the World Wildlife Federation is doing. Well-intentioned, to give them credit. What you had seen was a tree, love it or lose it. I think they have some with some marine, maybe endangered marine life species.
Oh yeah, they
tigers,
got the lion, tigers and bears. Oh my,
tigers in India, love it or lose it. So it's well intentioned, but candidly, like it's pretty clear the message that they were trying to communicate. A very anti-logging, anti-tree harvesting message. Mm-hmm. Picture of a tree that said "love it or lose it." And you called me and told me about it. And I don't remember if it was my idea or yours to say, why should we not do our own? Mm-hmm. And, like I said, it's been an idea that we've had for a couple of years. And then we've really first started bringing it to fruition this past spring, making phone calls and asking people if they would want to be a part of it so we could, reach as many people as possible, making phone calls, being told no, making phone calls, being told no. And then finally, back during the summer, we partnered perfectly enough with a nonprofit, a conservation group from back home from the Allegheny Highlands called the Appalachian Habitat Association. Mm-hmm. So it is an Appalachian Habitat Association, AHA, henceforth, so I don't have to say that mouthful, and a Give for Grouse initiative collaboration to put up this billboard. Again, we're going to do a 12-month run in 2 separate locations. So one billboard will run for 6 months in location A, and the second will run for 6 months in the next location. And it's really cool. I think it's something to be really, really proud of for you and I, for AHA, for Appalachia as a whole, from Ohio to North Carolina, for my hometown especially, and we'll break down the reasons why for that. But the billboard says logging equals healthy forests and healthy wildlife. And there's a picture, beautiful forest scene of a flame azalea, from the spring when they're bright orange, a pink azalea. And then it was always very important for you and I throughout all this for 2 things to be the case. Number one, that it said logging on it, to not run away from the word, not sidestep from it, not appease. And we're not it's a very tasteful billboard. The scene, the message, everything is communicated tastefully and respectfully, but we're not hiding from the word logging.
No.
If we're going to change the narrative and move the needle, it's important to call it what it is. So it was important that we said logging, and it was important that the ruffed grouse was going to be on the billboard front and center, and those 2 boxes were checked. And it's been a really cool process with AHA because it's been truly a collaboration. It's you and I and 3 or 4 of their board members working together, and it's amazing what can be accomplished when nobody has an agenda, cares who gets the credit, wants it to be my way or the highway, whatever, because it's been a back and forth. It's, throughout this email chain, because you're up here, I'm down there, everybody's in between, and it's, hey guys, what do you think about this? Love it. Or, what about this idea? Well, I think we can do better. And the end result has been, this brainchild of 4 or 5 different minds creatively and collectively coming together to advocate for logging and the ruffed grouse, which incidentally is what the Give for Grouse initiative is all about.
Yeah, it's. I want to piggyback on one thing, is that I come from the world where having a meeting just ends up in the whole purpose of it was to have another meeting.
Yeah.
And Cody and I and stuff, we've mentioned in the past, the uncomfortable feeling of wildlife management. When you have a, forester come in and mark your timber, it's not real right yet. And then when the equipment shows up and starts cutting, it is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable feeling of wildlife management. Now, this project here, again, go back to the beginning. I'm used to having a meeting to have another meeting, and it's a lot of talking and no action. This was far from that. And again, it was the uncomfortable feeling of wildlife management without cutting a tree down. It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is happening. This is happening and happening quickly. Mm-hmm. That's how we get stuff done. That is how we move the needle.
Yeah.
And that all goes to the organization and then also, you. And it was, yeah, man, it was like, stand back, don't get in the way. This is great. No, it is. It's an uncomfortable feeling in a different sense. The whole time I was like, we're going to have a billboard.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it takes like 2 years,
Yeah.
But one thing too is just like we did, and we're not going to throw anybody underneath the bus, but it was, hey, what, you want to be a part of this? Nope. You want to be a part of this? Nope. Hey, we're going to pay for everything. We just need you to be the direction to where people can go. Nope. And it was like, you know what? Enough's enough.
Yeah.
We did find somebody though.
Yeah, and it's really cool. If we had to pick a perfect partner.
Yeah.
Look at me again. Alliteration. Pick a perfect partner. AHA would have been that because it is a local group who does a lot of habitat work, putting habitat on the ground. In the Allegheny Highlands, Allegheny County, Bath, Highland, Rockbridge, back home. So it was, it really was a perfect marriage, and they do a lot of habitat work for all wildlife, non-game species included. It's funny because throughout all this, and even to this day, ruffed grouse are a game species.
Yes.
I don't think of them as a game species, which is more of a reflection of me and my hunting acumen than it is of anything else. But, AHA does a lot of work for golden wing warbler. A lot of golden wing warbler habitat creation back home, pollinator creation. So it was a perfect marriage. And, to unpack the campaign a little bit further, we wanted to include as many people as we could. We wanted to be a movement or, have as many people involved as they can, because I think at the end of the day, however you can help us make this become a reality, it's something to be really proud of. So it is a fundraiser. So we are asking for donations to make this a reality. And the billboards, they're not cheap. And there's, the design that goes into it, and we're doing a year long run. So the donation goal is set for $10,000 to cover the year's worth of a billboard's expense. It's a monthly, 2 6-month runs, like I said, and then to cover the expenses of the design and the printing, this, that, and the other. So all that to say, we're trying to raise $10,000 to do that. And we could have probably behind the scenes between AHA, me, and you, and our network of connections found enough people to write a check
for sure.
behind the scenes to get it done. But again, I wanted this to be, especially back home, to be a community effort. And, I tell people I'd rather 10 people donate $10 than one person donate $100.
Yep.
And back home, a little context about where I come from, it's, I don't know the specifics of it, but logging as a result of a hardwood pulp and paper mill in the city of Covington, it has to be the number one economic force or the number one industry.
Oh,
in the
for sure.
Highlands.
Outside looking in. Looking in. When I drive on 64 there, heading to your house, again, I don't know. It might not be, but outside looking in for sure. That mill ain't there. That town ain't there.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And, my dad has worked at the paper mill for over 40 years. My grandfather worked there for maybe just as long. My brother did for like a couple of years. I never did make it inside those walls, but everybody from the Allegheny Highlands, you have a mother or a brother or a father or an uncle or a grandfather who worked at the paper mill or has ties to the paper mill, or you have family who logs or worked for a logger or hauls logs for a logger. You've got your hands woven into the fabric of the forestry and logging industry. You have those fingerprints throughout the whole area. So it's something that I think a lot of people could be proud of, because like you said, without that paper mill, and without the paper mill, there aren't loggers, and without loggers, there aren't, and that's what's really cool too about where I'm from, is our entire economy is driven by loggers and that paper mill, and our region's entire ecology is driven by that paper mill and the loggers, because we are able to cut so much pulpwood. And I mean, we can, not to sidetrack off of the campaign, but we're very fortunate where I'm from to have that pulp and paper mill so close, because a lot of the log trucks going up and down the road where I'm from, they're not hauling saw logs. It's pulpwood. Yeah. And think of all the habitat that can get created in my area in the Allegheny Highlands. Because if you don't have a pulpwood mill close and you're hauling, it doesn't become economically sensible to haul pulpwood very far. So the fact that we can cut a lot of pulpwood in our area means we can put a lot of habitat on the ground for species, all species of wildlife, but especially ruffed grouse.
Yeah, and you think about that as, again, it's not all about the mill or anything like that,
No.
But the thing is behind the scenes, look at the employment, again, not to get sidetracked, from the foresters that have to go out to the property, the people that have to, well, this before there, like, hey, there's people behind the scenes answering the phone call like, hey, I'm willing to do this, Then you have the forester come out. And then you have the timber, the loggers. And then you have the log trucks. Those people, all those people, look at the employment. Guys families putting their kids to college. All that stuff is based on cutting stuff. And the best part about it, a piggyback on that success, wildlife wins.
Yeah.
Wildlife wins. So again, and when they see a billboard driving wherever, these things do end up, which I think you do know where they're heading, but the log truck driver, the wife of the driver, or the forester, or the husband of the wife that is the forester, what? That's a little smile on it's like, hey man,
yeah,
hey, it's finally some representation. It's not love it or lose it. Type stuff. It's like, hey, someone that does appreciate but again, the trickle down effect is so big. It's like the iceberg you see on top and the bottom. The majority of it is below the water.
Yeah.
That is what this is. It is. It's endless amount of like touching people to save a grouse, to save a golden warbler, and other species that depend on early successional or / young forest.
Yeah,
man, the behind the scenes is awesome.
It is. It's something I think a lot of people can be proud of. And there'll be a video. There is a video.
Oh, yeah.
There will be. There is a video. that you and I produced to kind of tell the story, because a big part of moving the needle is something I'm sure I say often, so get used to it. I'll try to come up with something else in the meantime, but to move the needle, storytelling, especially in this day and age, through video is a really effective tool to do that. So we wrote a voiceover and created a video to kind of tie it, and it's really cool for where I'm from back home, but it applies all throughout Appalachia. And we tried to tell that story of logging, timber cutters, and that whole lifestyle. 2025, obviously, but 1960, 1940, going back a long time.
Yeah.
If you take logging, if you take the timber industry out of Appalachia, it looks very different. I mean, you want to talk about an oppressed region of the world, a lot of it, Appalachia is. And, as part of that, we wrote the voiceover, and ruffed grouse obviously is the focus for what we're doing in this billboard and a lot of things, but we wrote it as the story of Appalachia is the story of the ruffed grouse.
Yep.
And I think that's a very true statement. So we tried to weave that whole story together, that the story of Appalachia is the story of the ruffed grouse, and which is the story of timber cutters and loggers in the forest and forestry industry. So it's something I think a lot of people can be proud of. We encourage you to donate for sure. There's a landing page where you can go to, if you're listening to this, you haven't seen any of our social media, go to habitatva.org, and there's a bunch of information about young forest, about logging, about ruffed grouse, where you'll find the video and where you can donate. I do think it's important to say that because this is through AHA, they are a nonprofit, all of your donations are tax deductible. If that gives you more incentive to donate, hopefully it doesn't come down to that. But if it does, you can't argue that that's not a positive.
$5, man, $10,
Exactly.
$20.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to, like Cody said, which this is grassroots. We want the more eyes, the better. Again, as Cody mentioned, not to repeat, I'm sure we could, found some people that, so we wouldn't have to be asking you, put it that way, for money. But we want you to get involved, and that's why like the smaller donations is fine. We'll take longer, but the more people that do see the billboard, do see the video, do go on the website and start educating, deer hunters, bear hunters, whatever,
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to, our first Give for Grouse podcast. This affects everybody,
Yeah.
and we got to be prepared to fight other battles, and you got to start fighting battles to learn how to fight other battles. So, so go donate, donate.
There's a shirt you can buy, which I think is just the coolest thing. A little chainsaw sporting his little rough grouse, sporting his chainsaw.
Yeah.
Which I think is super cool. Buy a T-shirt. Those donations, those proceeds go right to the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So habitatva.org. I mean, why would you not if you're able to?
Right.
I'm biased. We're biased, obviously, because this is our idea and our thing. But it's, we
let's guilt him into it.
Yeah, no kidding.
How dare you? Why aren't you not picking up the phones? We have people right now behind us that are waiting on your phone call.
Yeah. But it's really, I don't know. I think it's really cool. I'm really proud of it. It's been a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails and a lot of behind the scenes work to make this a reality. And once that billboard goes up, I know you and I are going to be very proud of it. The design, the scene, the grouse, all of it is very personal for you and I, and very important that we got this done. But you had mentioned it. We had done a podcast a couple months ago with Mike Culkin out of New York. And, a lot of what we're doing with the Give for Grouse initiative is obviously for rough grouse. But you had made a good point that it's about grouse, but it's not. And, one thing that I think about is when you see a log truck going up and down the road, think about grouse. So, when you're buying furniture for your home, buy something from a local mill.
Don't go to IKEA.
Yeah, don't buy anything, internationally made, which is obviously harder because it's cheaper. But if we, it's a trickle down effect, like you said. It's this billboard is meaningful and it's impactful, and I think it's going to tell a great story and deliver a strong message. But it's a great saying on the beach, honestly.
Oh yeah.
But it starts the conversation, and I've always said it with grouse especially. You just got to plant a seed, and we had talked about this briefly in the first episode. But just so many people, they haven't noticed that numbers are declining because you don't see grouse every day. It's not a species that you have a lot of encounters or experience with, like a deer, turkey, squirrel, whatever.
Yeah.
Over time, out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about planting a seed. And in the past year, me especially, anybody I can get in the ear about rough grouse, I do. Yeah. Intentionally, and maybe annoyingly so at this point. But if I can chirp in their ear and just ask them about rough grouse, sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. But there are a couple instances with people that I can point to specifically that this time last year, beyond knowing that rough grouse existed, to them it was probably just a bird in the woods.
Yes.
A blue jay, a cardinal. We have a rough
Folklore.
grouse. Cool. Yeah, exactly. But keeping, if you plant a seed, and they're so cool, the species, the animal, the individual, their habitats, they're so cool. So if you plant a seed, then it inevitably will grow, especially with grouse and their habitats, and then their management, and then understanding that forest ecosystem. So the billboard is just step one. It's planting that seed. And again, for some people, it might not take, you might not be interested. Maybe you're interested and passionate about other things, but this is step one. And it's a great launching point for you and I and the Give for Grouse initiative to plant the seed via a billboard. And then henceforth we will water this MFer best we can, and that seed will grow into something strong and powerful for rough grouse, and then everything that branches off of that, as we had talked about, forest products, the economy, the ecology of our area. But keeping rough grouse, giving them a voice, putting them as the poster child of this movement was important for you and I to do. And then off of that, we can go in a lot of different directions and generate a lot of conversations that can do a lot of good.
Yeah. And this billboard, I have a feeling that, there's many people that are going to be proud of it, or, there's might be some resonation with it and stuff, but there's going to be some like, you son of a bitches. you know? Oh, for sure, the shock.
Yeah.
But the goal, the goal of that, to combat that is, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
What? He said, she said, you're an idiot, you're mean, you're mean. What do we gain?
Yeah.
Well, we're not gaining anything, And right now, and I don't know if this is the right way to say it, and please stop me if it's not heading in the right direction. But right now, the conversation, they're dominating. And the reason being is that there's people in the shadows that are afraid to say something.
Yeah.
Is that understandable? It's like now we can come out of the shadow, if you will, metaphorically speaking, and just like, no. What do you
using this
big words?
Podcast to make a big announcement personally. It sounded like you're
no. Anyway, will you please take this serious? God. Anyway, but no, just like we can not be, inside or amongst their friends going, logging that's what's wrong. And it's like, this is the first step of like, no, logging is the right answer.
Yeah.
For many reasons.
Yeah.
It's like when we do wildlife management, I do wildlife consulting, and I say, come in here and let's do some cutting, but then I correct, I make sure that the landowner knows, or the person that I'm talking to knows, wise use is still okay. That and certain, you just don't grab a chainsaw and start willy-nilly cutting stuff. You got to have a purpose. You got to have a plan. You got to have people that know what they're doing, create that plan. So that's what we mean by that. But being able to speak up, instead of being shy about it or afraid that you're going to get canceled or you're afraid to whatever, to say, no, I do support this. There are people out there that recognize what I do is good.
Yeah.
That's the trickle-down effect of this billboard and the other projects that we have in store. Man, jump on this train. I said it last podcast. Jump on this train, man.
Yeah.
Let's go. And the destination is, I don't know, but we are heading, and there's going to be we're going to run over some shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. We're going to run over. Excuse my French. It's just like, man, we are going to, there's going to be some hurt feelings. There's going to be this and that. We're all, not all going to be on the same page and disagree. We're going to agree on some things, disagree with. We're going to have foresters on that we 80% agree and 20%, not agree with. But you know what? We're all on the same team. Let's be on the same team. We'll figure all that out later.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the billboard, I think, hopefully will start a lot of conversations about, because you mentioned it in the beginning about logging being an uncomfortable feeling of wildlife management. We've on our place, we've logged as long as I can remember on an old piece of property we had on our property. Now we're planning a pretty big operation coming up in the next couple months. And we're having a forester market the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, heck yeah, he's marking the trees to keep, and I can visualize what it's looking like, and I'm buzzing. I'm on cloud 9, but when that skidder shows up and the feller buncher starts ripping out trees, it's like, oof. And I'm the biggest advocate in the world for it. But as soon as it starts happening, I'm a feel a little apprehensive about the whole thing, which is natural. And that's an important thing to remember, that even somebody like you and I hate to use this metaphor or analogy or whatever, but people on our side of the fence, we feel that. So imagine how people on the other side of the fence
for sure
feel. So hopefully, a big part of this campaign is to educate non-consumers or anti-logging or non-logging supporters, because understandably so, it's not pretty. I will be the first to concede it's not pretty when it's happening or after the fact, But as we know, logging is an incredible tool for the health of the forest and the health of the wildlife that call it home. So this, I can hope, is a conversation that we can start with people who are just uneducated or inexperienced about logging and the benefits of it. Because a lot of people, they hear the word logging, they hear the word clear cutting, and I think, understandably so, in their mind's eye, they envision destruction, which is kind of what it looks like.
But let me stop you right there. And you know what? There was a time that's what it was. There's a black eye back in the 1900s and the early 1900s and even in the mid. There is a black eye. We have to correct, this ain't your grandpa's logging anymore. Mm-hmm. There's some science, there's some art to it, there's the technology, everything. We know more about best management practices, mm-hmm. how to clean up. Yeah. So there is a hurdle that we have to get on. I didn't mean to interrupt your thought there, but
yeah. So hopefully this is opens the door for those type of conversations. And again, it's using grouse are a game species, but using not your charismatic game species that people tie mm-hmm. to, because a lot of people log for wildlife, which is super, and a lot of people log so they can have more wildlife, deer and turkeys, which in turn provide more hunting opportunities. Mm-hmm. But we're going to use this campaign to educate the benefits of logging to all wildlife, ruffed grouse being a game species, but let's pretend that they're not, just for conversation's sake. We're golden wing warblers or pollinators, monarch butterfly. Everybody is playing the violin when they see a monarch butterfly. And rightfully so. We need people advocating and fighting for them, but monarchs need early successional habitat, old field environments. They need milkweed, especially. Mm-hmm. I'm looking out your window into a closed canopy forest, and I don't see how milkweed can grow underneath the shade of oaks and maples and poplars.
It's dominated by Japanese stiltgrass. It's autumn olive.
So how can we move the needle for monarchs through logging and responsible forest management? I mean, the State of the Birds report came out earlier this year, and disturbance-dependent species, and this is just bird, mostly non-game, disturbance-dependent species in eastern forests are declining, I think as a whole, 27 to 30%. And literally, you can go to State of the Birds, Google State of the Birds Report 2025, and it's super cool because it's broken down by Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, West, Hawaiian Islands. You can learn a lot of cool stuff. But for eastern forests, it's communicated pretty clearly. Disturbance-dependent species are in sharp decline. And again, it's important to remember that we're not advocating to clear-cut the world. Mature forests have utility and value to wildlife, and all wildlife, and especially some songbird species, need closed canopy, mature oak forests. In the State of the Birds report, it says disturbance-dependent species, say that a million times fast, disturbance-dependent species are in decline. Species that rely on mature forests are doing quite well. So, all that to say, this billboard hopefully opens the door for those conversations, how we can communicate that logging benefits grouse, deer, and turkeys, yes, but all the wildlife, from deer and turkeys to the songbirds you see at your bird feeder mm-hmm. out the window. They need young forests. They need early successional. And this billboard, I think, will hopefully start conversations with people where we can respectfully have those conversations and intelligently communicate the benefits of logging. And like you said, it's come such a long way. You see a lot of the equipment they use to harvest. You see how foresters cruise and take inventory and all the science that goes behind every decision that a logger makes with a tree he cuts, every forester makes with the tree he decides to cut or leave. It's a very intentional and deliberate process from start to finish. And there are bad apples in every bunch, bad, greedy foresters, sloppy loggers, but pick an industry where that's not the case. Yeah. So let's get past that and, let's be grown-ups and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah. The biggest thing, for the people that do see the billboard that will be coming up here, And like, who in the heck are these guys? What's their deal? You find this, you do a little research on the Give for Grouse initiative, and then also, you stumble on this podcast. Now, this is toward the end of the podcast, so hopefully you hear this part. Don't think for a second it's clear cut the world. We'll log the other planets later. I stole that line.
Yeah.
No, that's not it. And you just touched on it just a little bit. That's not what this is about.
Yeah.
Even if, let's say we wanted to do that, it's an impossible thing. I mean, it's not happening.
Yeah.
No, we want to give life to wildlife. We want to give life to our forest. Okay? We always talked about, I love deer so much that I'm willing to kill it for the greater good of the species. I have that much love that I'm willing to kill that specific deer that's in front of me. I love it. I'm obsessed with it, whether it's a turkey, whether it's a deer, whether it's a grouse, because killing grouse gives it value. And when a species has value, it has a future. So I will kill a grouse. But go back to the thing. It's like I'm cutting a specific tree down. Yeah, it sucks. Every time you or I do timber stand improvement, you have to play judge and jury.
Yeah.
This poplar going to go or that poplar going to go. Then you sit there and back and forth. Well, honeybees need poplar and black locust trees. And God, maybe what? Oh my God, what do I balance this? Do I cut that tree or not? What about the bees? Yeah. What about that? Oh my God! No, I can't cut all the poplar down I need sunlight hit the forest. Well, that's going through our head.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm cutting that specific tree for the greater good. Don't think for a second there's an alternative motive to what the Give for Grouse initiative is, what this Billboard campaign is. I can't emphasize that enough. That's what this is about: creating life. Creating an healthy ecosystem. We're not saying cut the world.
Yeah.
You don't. Habitat, food, cover. And one that's always left out is space. You do need a state park looking ecosystem for those specific birds, those specific wildlife species that need that. That's what we're all about. Yeah. Wildlife, forest health. Okay? Cutting everything down is not the solution.
No.
Okay? So just please, I can't emphasize that enough for the people that are somewhat against what this is. Hear those words.
Yeah, that's really well said. And it's what's really cool to me about logging and forest health and forest management is so incredibly, and how it ties into wildlife especially, is how incredibly nuanced it is. There's no absolute statement or it has to be this way or not. I mean, like you said, and a lot of what we're advocating for as far as logging is just because so much of our forests is overstocked, unhealthy, and even aged. We look at those characteristics of a forest and it may look beautiful to us, but honestly, those trees individually are probably stressed and unhealthy, and then it's not supporting a lot of wildlife. So we're advocating for healthy ecosystems and a healthy landscape, and to achieve that, a lot of times it requires a disturbance, be it logging or fire. But you and I were on a property doing a consultation back during the early summer and back home in Allegheny County, and 800 acres, they had grouse, they had tons of wildlife, and they could, if they wanted to micromanage it, they could do some crop tree release here. There are some portions of their property that they can cut for sure if they want to. But by and large, it was fine the way it was.
Yes.
And we weren't, I honestly, I don't know about you, but just given where we were in the world, I went into it prepared to communicate to them that, if you want to see some more deer and have some better hunting, this, that, and the other, be open to logging. You and I got there, and it's like, what you got's pretty darn good.
Yes.
If you want to cut some, we could figure out some places to do that. But we left that property visit telling the landowner, it's like, you got it pretty good.
Yeah.
We didn't tell him to cut anything for the sake of cutting anything. So
yeah,
it's really nuanced. And like you said, I mean, oak trees are the host plant for over 400 species of butterflies and moths. Poplar, back home on my place, I got an excess of yellow poplar. That's why I cut and kill a lot of them. But they are a host plant for a couple species of butterflies. I can't remember which ones. Black locust. People have a vendetta against black locust. They're a native tree, but they can be aggressive in some situations. But God wouldn't have made any of these trees if they didn't have value to us as humans and to wildlife in the form of food or cover. So just to echo what Eric said, when we advocate for logging and timber stand improvement, it's to create a healthy ecosystem. And just a lot of what you see now driving down 64, especially, you see these beautiful mountains with even aged trees, and it's not a healthy forest. The trees themselves aren't expressing their full potential, and they don't have a lot of value to wildlife. So that's where we come in and advocate for logging and cutting some trees down. But that's not always the right prescription. Some forests are even aged. They have a diversity of age classes and a diversity of species, and that forest is, just let it do its thing for another 30, 40, 50, 100 years, So that's a good point to make.
Yeah, and not to, we're going to probably wrap this up, but, the biggest thing, too, with this campaign, and I'm not just saying this to keep going and keep talking and rambling here, but I hope, and I don't know about you, and I'm sure we're on the same page, there's going to be some bedside people that we're not accustomed to talking to, in the sense of we wouldn't normally cross over to that group to have a conversation with. Did that come out right? And for the people that are the foresters and are loggers, and it's like, hey, ease up, put the haunches down.
Yeah.
So let's hear, be patient. Again, be patient. Like when you hear, calm down, put the gloves down, put the bat down.
Yeah.
Just hear, listen. You don't have to agree with it, but you do have to listen.
Yeah.
And don't think of the next thing that you want to say while they're talking. Listen. Mm-hmm. You don't have to agree with it. But there's going to be some groups that we might, like, it was fun to have them on the podcast. There was some good debate. There was some that was entertaining, and maybe they're not necessarily on the side of it, but, you have to be patient. You got to have to listen. You got to listen.
Yeah.
So be prepared. That's what I hope this campaign, when people see the billboard, they do want to reach out. Hey, man, let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Let's educate each other.
It's good life advice. Be patient and be quiet.
Yeah.
I think that's something.
I love being right. So let's go. Let's go.
Be patient and be quiet. That's something the world needs.
That's a bumper sticker.
No kidding. And hunting too. Be patient, be quiet.
Right.
That's what I tell myself.
Give her Grouse initiative. Shut up and listen.
But that's a good point. With the other, and I hate to use it. And again, this is something I'll have to come up with some better phraseology for. But people on the other side of the fence, and they look at us as people on the other side of the fence from their side of the fence.
Oh, yeah.
So, at the end of the day, we both want the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wildlife,
mm-hmm.
healthy wildlife,
mm-hmm.
healthy economies, food on the table,
mm-hmm.
families providing for families.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do what you said and listen and share and be respectful and have these calm conversations, then a lot can get done. And to tie it all together, the T-shirt that we are having for sale on the website for the campaign, on the back it says "Logging for Life," which is logging for life. You're creating life through logging, and logging provides, that phrase can mean a lot of different things depending on how you say it and what you wanted it to apply to.
Context.
Logging creates life in the terms of wildlife. Mm-hmm. Logging is a lifestyle. Logging is a livelihood. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, we all use paper products. We all use wood products. Mm-hmm. Logging is Logging is life in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, logging is life in the economic. Logging is life when it comes to creation. It's funny. The shirt that you're gonna get has, like Cody said, a grouse with the chainsaw on it and holding it and stuff. And I know when we were messing around with the idea of a grouse holding a chainsaw, we also have a bobwhite quail holding a drip torch. And it's funny where it's like it's a cartoon type figure, it's AI, whatever you want to call it. And it's like we were like, do we have anything that goes with it? And I remember I pulled off on the side of the road and I was talking because I was going to lose service, and I was like, the grouse is like, it says to me, if you're not going to do it, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in the quail holding the drip torch is like, where do you want me?
Yep.
But the grouse holding the chainsaw, it's like, if you're not going to do it, I am. That's how important this is.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, other than that.
Yeah. It's really cool. Like I said, this is our first project as part of the Gift for Grouse initiative. It's meaningful personally for you and I. It's something that I set a goal to do. I told you this.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this is a goal of mine. And like I said, we went down the ladder not down the ladder, but we went through the Rolodex trying to find a partner because we want to create the biggest impact as possible. And you and I, we're just, we're not the biggest fish in the pond. We just want to have the biggest audience, get as many eyes and ears on this as we can. Mm-hmm. And I told you, it was like A, B, C. No. It was like sometime in the future, I may be on the side of 64 with a post hole digger, putting in 4x4s, putting up the billboard myself. I'll be damned. A Ruffed grouse is going to be on a billboard for people to see advocating for forest management and logging. But thankfully, I don't have to do that because I hate digging fence post holes. Right up there with painting.
Labor guy.
I love manual labor. You can't.
You put a backpack spray on a guy and just let him go. You just feed him lunch, give him some water.
There's a lot of things I love to do as far as hard work. I don't like to paint. Hate it.
I'm not a painter, man.
I could swing a weed eater back and forth all day, 8 hours a day, 100 degrees during the summer, and wouldn't skip a beat. Hate to paint, hate to dig post holes, but we can go down that road another day. Thankfully, I didn't have to put up the billboard myself. I know I am very thankful to AHA, as are you, that they again, it's been a shout out to them because it's been
Look them up.
It's been a true team effort, a true collaboration. They've been very helpful to bring this to life for us and have had some great ideas that you and I didn't think of on our own to elevate it and make it better than what you and I had thought it could be.
Yeah, and that's something too, to wrap this up. If this, when it does succeed, because it will.
Yeah.
You know what? It started out in Virginia. I hope that this billboard, people will reach out to us and go, hey, put it in my area, put it in my state, put it in this.
Yeah.
And find us a partner, to partner up with, and that can do the same thing as what we're doing in Virginia, right? I mean, who knows how this works? But it's just, hey, this will succeed. I know it. We will reach the 10 grand, the donations to pay for this and stuff. But you know what? This is not just a Virginia thing, man.
Yeah.
If you need to put it in Maine, let's put it in Maine. Let's put it in Pennsylvania. Obviously, we're going to see what's going on in Ohio. Different regions going to have different reactions.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little shock and awe in some states, but let's get it there.
Yeah.
So
it's exciting stuff. I know we are proud of it. We want you to be a part of it. We encourage you to donate if you are able and you feel called to do so. But if you can't, it's completely fine. But share the video, share the landing page.
No, we hate you.
Yeah. We're happy to take your money for sure, but any way that you can help is encouraged and appreciated. So
for sure,
help us make this a reality. Again, they're the coolest. They're the chicken of the woods. They are the coolest bird. I don't get why people love turkeys. I think they're weird.
Cody's
Ruffed grouse are the coolest animal in the world, the coolest bird in the world to me. And soon we will have one proudly standing on a billboard.
Mm-hmm. So go to the website, check out what is going on, donate, watch the video, share the website, do all that stuff. Be a voice. Today's the day. Let's do it. As my grandpa always used to say, No hurry, no worry.